Yo, what up? Let's get rid of that text message. So it's Bullet again. How y'all been doing? Figured it's time to make another video. This time I did a brake upgrade on the car. We got some Power Stop Extreme Z26 pads, Extreme Stop braking, cross drill slotted rotors, and this is going to be for the 11 to 14s. The S550 4-piston upgrade for this car. They don't make a kit for it. You can get the parts from the Ford dealer or go aftermarket, but the calipers do got to come from Ford. It's a Ford part. It's the factory 15 to 17 calipers. They don't come with any hardware or anything like that from Ford other than the bleeders. So you will have to buy a hardware kit because the hardware kit that comes with the pads does not come with the pins. So you need to get an actual hardware kit to get the 2 pins that are for the bracket to hold the pads in. Because the ones that come with pads are just the plate and the little chintzy, what do you want to call it, the hold pin for the 2 big pins. So we're going to walk around this. I also put Russell stainless steel brake lines. We used 2005 to 2014 GT hoses, and they had to be slightly modified so they'll work with these calipers. I wasn't going to try to do GT500 lines or anything like that, so I got the standard GT ones and found out it was very simple to modify them. I'll have a picture in the video so you can see how I modified them, and you'll see it in the video too, how they were made. So the rear brakes are going to be 100% stock, other than I just changed to a stainless steel line for the hose, and the front's fully done, so we'll get into that here in a second here. Bam! Right there. Z26 Power Stop Extreme. These are a carbon ceramic infused pad. They're not a semi-metallic. So if you want better braking for racing, I would probably go with like a Hawk pad that's a semi-metallic or full metallic pad, because it will have less breakdown at high heat. But from my understanding, regular street driving, spirited performance, these are the ones to get. As I was saying, this is the hardware kit that comes with it. It just comes with the plates, and then you can see them, the 2 hold rods for the pins that hold the caliper in. It does not come with the new pins. So if you do this conversion, the caliper, bam, look at that, ooh-wee, ceramic red. So these are your 2 pins that hold your calipers. Those pins do not come with the pads, so you're gonna have to order a hardware kit that has the pins. But you can see right on the back side here, there's the metal rod that holds the 2 pins in your plate, so they're top load float. So these are 15 to 17 stock GT 4-piston calipers. They're fucking huge. These are 2007 to 2012 GT500 front rotors. They're 14-inch. They work real well. So pretty much the only thing they changed is a little bit of the mounting on these. The only thing you need to space these properly is 2 half-inch washers for the mounting bolts, and they got to be 2.5 millimeters thick. That is the measurement I have, is 2.5. Alright, so before I got cut off again, which I love making these videos and people got to call me, you'll need 2 washers that are half-inch to go over the caliper mount bolts. I don't know if we'll be able to. Let me get my flashlight. Maybe I can show you guys real quick here. So, alright, let's do this. So, alright, so if you see right in between there, you'll see the washer. That is a half-inch washer that is 2.5 millimeters thick. And that will give you the proper spacing for your caliper to rotor. I actually have to push the caliper up, the rotor up, so that way you can see it's properly spaced. It's not really going to focus that well because I'm too close to it, but that'll give you the proper spacing you need to mount these calipers up. And then here's the SS line that runs around, still uses the factory mount on the strut. Now this line here is the one you have to bend. So this line comes straight out like this because it's made for the factory calipers, which mount at the bottom and not in the middle. So they go like this. You got to take a bender and you got to bend it like 30 degrees so that way you can clear this. When you're making left and right hand turns, it doesn't get caught and jammed up on this. And then it'll mount to the factory location on the strut, and it'll loop up to the hard lines. That's pretty much it. It's fairly simple install. So you can get the calipers, you get the rotors, you get the lines, and then you get the washers, and literally it is a direct bolt-in. I'm running 18-inch wheels. I know there's only a very few 18-inch wheels that this will work with. So I'll get the measurements and add that to the video as well so you have an idea of what you need. But based off of this hub face, when you put your wheel up here, you got to measure from this face to this pate right here is 2 inches. So you need a minimum of 2-inch clearance between the hub and the back side of your spokes on your wheels to clear this. Otherwise, it's not going to happen. And then I'll get you the measurement from at least what the minimum wheel width on the inside has to be to clear these, because I only have like an 1/8 inch or 3/8 clearance between the wheel and the caliper, and that's it. Alright guys, so I measured the inside diameter of this wheel, and you need to have a minimum on the inside of this 17 inches across center line to be able to clear the S550 upgrade for the 11 to 14. So you got to have a 2-inch space between the hub and the spokes to clear the calipers, and then you got to have 17 inches from this side to this side. Now there's guys on the forums that are saying they have 20-inch rims that these calipers will not clear, because some of these wheels that are 20s, like my buddy's 2005, he might have a 20-inch wheel, but the recesses come in a lot further than these wheels, so he won't fit them. He's got stock size brakes, 13-inch wheels, and his caliper's literally a 1/4 inch or so away from the inside lip of the wheel, so his 20-inch wheels won't work with this. So again, 17 inches across, center to center, room for the caliper, and then off of this hub you need to have 2 inches of clearance to clear that caliper. At minimum, you need 2 inches to clear it. So off that hub to this hub, which we could just say this hub, from here to the spokes is 2 inches clearance. So they got to stick out far enough offset to clear those calipers. Alright, so the one thing I really didn't add in the video for this that I'm adding while I'm at work is you're going to use, I use Russell stainless steel brake lines. You can use Stop Tech or any other brand, but the brand I used was Russell because I just like Russell. I think they're better than most of them out there. Almost everybody I know runs Russell. I've heard people have issues with Stop Tech and their banjo bolts breaking. At least with the Russells, you can reuse the OEM banjo bolts. Sorry about my eyes, I'm only on like 2.5 hours of sleep. Busy weekend. And it's sunny. But the rotors, I didn't really speak of on who makes them, but they are made by Extreme Stop. They were through American Muscle. It was $197.99 for both rotors. They look like a good quality to me. They're heavy though. They are heavy rotors. The package, both rotors were shipped at like 52 pounds, so they are they're heavy rotors. But they're a lot thicker. They're a lot bigger. It may not look like it from the one picture in the video, but it's hard to see the comparison. but the vanes in it, I mean, you can spin the rotor by hand on the hub and you just feel the air just coming through the rotor. So the cooling properties of the vanes is huge on these rotors. Because the stock ones, you can spin them and you don't feel anything coming out of the rotor, but with these, you spin them by hand and you can just feel the airflow coming out of the vanes of the rotor. So there's some big cooling properties with the cross-drilled and slotted rotors. And I already had a buddy tell me, oh, it looks like you got them on the wrong side. No. They are on the right side. They're marked left and they're marked right. They actually have a stamp on them. And then there's a sheet that I don't have a picture of that comes with the rotors. It's a huge piece of paper that tells you the direction, how they mount, how to break them in. Same thing with the Z26 pads. I pretty much have the break-in process for the pads. Bedding to the rotors almost done. So I've been driving around and light braking. But you're supposed to do 10 to 20 50 mile an hour to 15 mile an hour stops. That's what it calls for the pads to properly bed them to the new rotors. So however you want to follow that procedure, I got about 12 of them done so far, and you got to have a cooling off process between each one. So pretty much I do one getting off the freeway, cruise around town a little bit, go down a main road, did another one, and then just cruised around for a little bit, did another one, and just cruised around for a little bit. And I got to about 12 this weekend so far. The one thing I will say though is the initial stopping of bedding, you're going to hear some brake pad noise. It's not going to sound that great. I was like, damn, what is that? And the rotors are coated for anti-corrosion, anti-rust. So initially when you start breaking them in, I mean, you're going to see what looks like, you're going to think there's some metal-to-metal contact, but you're not going to hear nothing, and there ain't going to be none. What it is, it's just the surface breaking in on the rotor, and there was like extensive brake dust for the first few times of doing it on the wheels, and I was like, oh God, is something wrong here? But once I cleaned it off, checked them out real quick, and I did a couple more, the brake dust and amount of stuff on the wheels pretty much disappeared. So it'll be bad the first few times. You'll be like, holy shit, what is all of this? But after that, it's pretty much back to normal. There's no squealing or anything like that from the brakes. But it's really firm. I mean, there's a less pedal effort to get the car to slow down and stop. And surprisingly, from doing 50 to 15 mile an hour, like jump on the pedal and go, I don't know if it's just because of my tires that are on there that are gripping because it was 90-something degrees out this past weekend. But even the ABS didn't really even kick in. You could hear the tires screech a little bit from hitting the brakes so hard and so quick, but the ABS didn't activate, which is kind of a good sign. That means the brakes aren't locking up. But it stops way quicker than the OEM brakes that were on it, because I've done 50 to like 0 stops with the stock brakes, and they definitely faded. I mean, there was fade in the pedal and in the brakes, but with these, nope. The other thing I want to add is I am using a foreign brake fluid. It's called Pentosin. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right, but that's the way it looks on the bottle. I'll include a picture of that and the brake properties, but mostly it is used on foreign cars. Porsches, BMWs, Audis, Jaguars, Volkswagen, Alfa Romeo. Pretty much the company Pentosin is it's just a foreign company that pretty much makes all the fluids, transmission, oils, coolants, power steering, brake fluids, all for foreign cars, foreign manufacturers. So as far as brake fluid goes, I'm using their Super Dot 4. I didn't want to use Dot 3. I could have went with Dot 5.1, not Dot 5, Dot 5.1, which is still compatible with the standard brake systems on a car. I don't have to change O-rings or flush the system. It's still an Easter, pronounce it right, Easter, whatever, based fluid. And it has a higher property with the Dot 5.1. But the price of it was literally like $18 a pint. And I'm like, well, I'd have to flush the entire system on the car. So I said, nah, I'll go with the Penison stuff, and it is $16 per liter. Big difference. And I pretty much used a whole liter of brake fluid, flushing the system out and doing the proper bleeding procedures because of the ABS unit, which I had to bleed as well. And then I also have stainless steel lines from the master to the ABS unit as well. That's a whole nother can of worms to get that bled out and the air out of that system. But the pedal is a lot firmer. It's a lot more responsive. And some people change out the brake booster to a GT500 brake booster, which is smaller because of the bigger brakes. But I kind of like the more responsiveness, I guess you could say. That would be the difference, is they wouldn't be so, people complain about it being really touchy with big brakes, so they would change out the booster to a GT500, which is smaller. But I kind of like the touchiness. But so far I got about, I don't know, 100 miles this weekend I put on the car, roughly, maybe a little more on these brakes, and I love them. They're really good. I'll eventually get around to another video that I make. I'll mention a review on the brakes and see how they perform. Eventually I am going to get to the rear brakes. I will do them. I don't know when. But I plan on buying these adapters to put 13, 14 GT500 size rotors on the rear that retain my stock calipers. And then I can get Z26 pads for those as well. So eventually I'll get there. They don't make the same rotors. Extreme Stop doesn't make the same rotors for the GT500. I don't know why. Or that, or American Muscle doesn't sell them. So I have to do some searching online to see if that company actually makes a set for the rear. But I'm kind of limited, I guess, on the rear rotors. They make them for the stock GT, but not listed for the GT500 size. So don't know what I'm going to do with those rotors. It might be a different brand slotted or just drilled. So they're not going to match the front exactly, but it'll still work. But alright, just wanted to clear some of that stuff up. If you guys have any questions on this upgrade, there's a few things you can Google on it that talk about it, and some people have all the sizes, they don't, so I figured at least I'd make a video of this and get it online. But if you got any questions on this stuff, how they fit, this and that, you need some other kind of measurements, just let me know, and hopefully I can get that for you. But I think everything I got in the video is pretty much everything you're going to need to make sure they're going to clear your wheels and all that stuff, and the brake line modifications. Yeah, that's about it. See you guys till next time.